Are we good to go, Michael?
We're good, we're live on.
Yes.
Yep, we're ready.
Okay. Let me call to order the August meeting of the Town of Highlands Board of Commissioners. And the first item at our meeting is always a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Will you join me in a moment of silence? Thank you. Now we will have the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. Our next item is the statement of conflict of interest. I call attention to the board members, the statement, if there are any conflicts that you might have during the transaction of business in this meeting, of course, you should declare that conflict. The next item, number 4, will be public comment period. I will open the floor and I would request that anyone who would like to make a public comment, state your name for the record, and we'd appreciate you holding your comments to around 3 minutes or so. So I'm going to open up the floor at this time.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. My name is Kathy Henson, and I am here tonight on behalf of the Highlands Neighborhood Coalition to publicly express our sincere gratitude to Commissioner Brian Steeler for his service on this town board these past 14 years. Brian Steeler represents the very best of public service, an elected official who has contributed his time and talent for no compensation or personal benefit to protect and preserve this very special community. He sets a high bar for anyone who replaces him. Serving on a governing board in a small town has its rewards and its challenges. On the upside, we can all see the positive impact that Commissioner Steeler has had throughout his years of service, and especially his efforts around scholarships, the new playground, and being a positive liaison between the town, its residents, and the business community. The last 14 years have brought unprecedented change and unexpected challenges, including the pandemic and Hurricane Helene. Throughout it all, Brian has demonstrated calm and competent leadership and a willingness to listen to all of Highlands' constituents. We don't always see the challenges of public service, but we know they exist. The worries, the time away from family and friends, the time away from one's livelihood, and of course, never being able to go to the grocery store in your pajamas for fear of running into a constituent. We live in an era when public service is not always valued or rewarded. So I am here tonight on behalf of our residents to thank Brian for everything he has done for Highlands. There is no higher service than making life better for your neighbors and your community. Brian Steeler has made a tremendous impact, and his work on our behalf will be remembered. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Commissioners. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. And Kathy, let me follow up. I had a conversation with Brian today. He'll be coming to the next board meeting, give us an update on the playground, and we will recognize and honor his service at that time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Hearing no further public comment, I'll move on to the next item, number 5, to review and approve the agenda.
I have a requested change to the agenda or an addition. I'd like to add surveying of the town hall to EMS block, basically that property, survey and topo, and I'd like to add it right after Heritage Day event update.
Okay.
What about the bids for removing the playhouse?
I would request that we delay that in that I had stated in the newspaper that we would give a 60-day period. For some reason, I've heard at the last meeting that would delay for 60 days, and it's been 30. So, you know, whatever the board decides, it's your pleasure, but I will confess that is what I interpreted or heard, although I know it might not be in the minutes.
That's fine. Just put it on the agenda for next month.
Okay, all right, thank you. Any other changes?
I make a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, please raise your hand, signify by saying aye. Thank you very much. Okay, the next item would be to review or to approve the July 17th regular meeting minutes. Do we have any changes or clarifications to those minutes?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, please raise your hand, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. The next item will be the report, starting with the mayor's report. I attended the Macon County Transportation Advisory Committee session that we had about 2 weeks ago. Michael Mathis, who is also a part of that process, attended that meeting with me. There was a discussion of what are the critical transportation needs in Macon County. US 441 was one of they're always trying to, upgrade turning lanes and make that safer from the Georgia line into Franklin. So there was some discussion of some of the priorities. One of the interesting things was that there's a issue about improving safety on US 64, the Gorge Road. But of course, not at the gorge. They were looking at traffic accidents, and they were discovering on those open stretches where people are going sometimes at a high rate of speed, that's where they're having problems with accidents, and they're looking at the possibility of doing some safety improvements on that road. But the good news is that we had also a prioritization on sidewalks in the county. And our two projects, the one on 106 going to the country club and the one going out to Franklin Road, they are on that list and they're one of the, top priorities. With that said, that might take a number of years for them to be funded. The estimate for the 106, as we've discussed, is around 1.1 million. 2.4 to do the sidewalk if the funding came with DOT for the Franklin Road. So I'll keep you posted on how those prioritizations move forward. Then last night, our town manager and I, Josh Ward, we participated in a panel discussion along with our engineer from McGill Associates, Mike Hanson, with the meeting of the Mirror Lake Improvement Association. And we were also there with Pat Gleason, the president. Mike King was there. And then also John Bryant of Riversand was there to talk about phase one. So we took questions and discussion at that meeting. It was very interesting meeting. Some people are still not happy with the plan. I will just say that when we went to get the funding for the dredging, the priority was use the plan that had been developed by the homeowners association, and the emphasis, the focus was on water quality, not just dredging a part of that area just to have a lake in front of someone's house. It was still, the focus is it's for the watershed and water quality, and that's what's driving the plan. Mike Hanson, am I taking away from your thing? Okay. Mike Hanson informed us that in their engineering process, they're working with Macon County, the Macon County landfill folks and everything about allowing the sediment that will be coming forth in phase 2 and phase 3 to be put at the old Macon County land field that is now closed on 28, and other options. And that's going to take longer than anticipated because the regulations, the landfill will basically have to be partially reopened to take that material and then closed. And he's saying that that might take several months more than they anticipated, but they're working on that. And then they're moving forward with the plans. John Bryant with River Sand, they're getting very close to wrapping up their operations, especially on the side of Hicks Road Bridge, which is going toward the dam. So they will be finishing up rather soon. A lot of people are frustrated that they don't see rapid work progress being made. And John and all of us trying to explain this is a pretty deliberate, methodical process, and it will take time, and it will be disruptive as this dredging goes along. And then finally, Josh and I attended a hospital update with elected officials this afternoon. Tom Neal gave us a briefing on all of the things that are happening at our hospital. There are a lot of good, positive things going on under his leadership at the hospital. They're bringing back surgery. They're bringing back services. They're bringing in new doctors and so forth. And they've added the imaging area that's about to be completed. So those are the good things. The concern that officials and everyone discussed was, of course, the impending in the coming months and next few years, the Medicaid cutbacks from the federal beautiful bill and other factors in how that will impact, services in some very critical areas. But Tom assured us that he thinks our hospital's in real good shape to make adjustments on those kind of situations. And then finally, let me say, we've been getting a lot of calls from people about washouts. We hear the concerns about the washouts. Some people might be frustrated that we don't just immediately react, but as long as the water's still coming down in that pattern, you can put down gravel and everything one day and be right back at the same situation in a few short days. So we'll be working on addressing some of the washout issues. Josh might give us an update on some of those in just a minute. With that being said, I will take reports from the commissioners now.
Well, part of my report is going to be related to the playground, but I will wait on that until Brian is here next month. Also, 3 weeks ago, I attended the Southwest Commission banquet in Silva. And the primary reason why I went was just to thank them and thank the parties involved that helped, even though we were not successful, but helped us write the grant requests for the playground. Because there's a lot of work, as most people know, about writing grants. So they helped us with both of them. So I wanted to say that. And then obviously it'll be next week with Brian. But to reiterate what you said, Brian has done a phenomenal job in this community. And I met Brian 25 plus years ago at the time Pescados on the day he came here for a job interview. I just happened to know the manager of the club at the time. And Brian, for those that you don't know, of course, we're both Pennsylvania guys, and Brian's high school and my high school play sports against each other. We grew up about 25 minutes apart. And Brian will like this part. Brian's 8 years younger than me, so we never competed against each other. And if we had in golf, he would have killed me. But I will say he will be greatly missed in many ways, but look forward to working with him on a lot of projects in the future.
Okay. Any other reports from the commissioners? Hearing none, I'll turn it over to our town manager, Josh Ward.
Well, the North Carolina Department of Transportation is getting close to getting the caution light at Little Bear Pen powered up. They worked with our electric crew and decided to go ahead and attach to the existing poles because it's going to be a while on our new poles. They're stringing wire right now, but they've had obviously a lot of rain. So they got a lot of rain days. It's going to take them instead of the first week in September for the electric project to be done, it's probably going to be, later on in September into early October. So they decided just to go ahead, working with our electric crew and hook to the old poles to get those lights working. So I'm hoping within, the next week or so, they'll have those functional. I haven't spoken with them lately to see exactly, when they're going to turn them on, but getting very close on that. We've waited, I don't know, 2.5 years, I guess, or something for that. So, also the Dog Mountain project is moving forward. We have a pre-construction meeting, in about a week. So that'll get the ball rolling and we'll see hopefully some construction in September on that. Also, the mayor mentioned some washouts. I think we've had rain 38 out of the last 39 days. A lot of that rain has been very intense, 3.5, 4 inches, I think 3 nights in a row. We had washouts everywhere, just overpowering all the erosion control measures. A lot of job sites and just washing out a lot of, ditch lines and things. And I've never seen Lake Sequoia that red period. But for that many days, it was pretty unbelievable. And it was that way all the way down to Franklin. So it's finally starting to clear up a little bit.
Josh, can you use the microphone? We can't hear.
Our code official, he's out daily at all these sites and has done a really good job. Sometimes it's multiple visits per day to make sure that we get things put back the way it's supposed to be. So we'll continue to stay on top of those, but we've got a few that are also outside the city limits that we're working with the county on. They don't get up here. So they've got one person covering the entire county. So we try to keep them apprised of things going on, outside the city limits that's affecting us. I know we've had a lot of discolored water for weeks now coming from out 64. If you've been out to Highlands Falls Country Club, you've noticed their pond has been muddy for weeks. And so I think the state's been even called in on that particular site. So we're doing the best we can do on that with the intense rains. The last thing is Town Hall will be closed Monday, September 1st for the Labor Day holiday.
Okay, thank you. Before I move on, I wanted to also note that Lamar Nix is not here tonight. I believe he's still on his honeymoon. We wish him all the best and congratulate him and his new bride. The next item will be the consent agenda. Do I have any questions concerning the items in the consent agenda?
Make a motion to approve.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, please signify by raising your hand, saying aye. Thank you. The next item will be the Board of Commissioners vacancy discussion. This, I wanted to put this on the agenda tonight because we did have the sudden resignation of Commissioner Steeler. That occurred where there was more than 90 days before the next municipal election. I will confess, I was really pushing to move that forward because anytime we can have an election with voters making decisions on who will serve them, I think is always the best option. But there's some other questions that we might want to talk about, and I've just identified them. When should the board appoint? And a lot of that's driven by the timing of a resignation, but when should we appoint? And here's what I mean by that. If somebody were to resign with 23 or 22 months still on their term, then of course an appointment probably would be in order rather than just going with a 4-person board. But then let's say if someone were to resign within 6 months or 5 months, do we just continue to the next election or do we make a decision to appoint? And then, there's been discussion before, and I know this has been done before. The highest voter of the previous election that did not, get a seat at the board, that person would basically de facto become the person appointed. I know that that's been done. I don't think I know it's not state law, and I'm not sure that it's even really been a formal policy. I would say the weakness of that potentially, not always, but possibly, let's say if you had two seats available, two candidates got 230 and let's say 220, but four people were running and the other two got respectively 30 and 20 votes, would that mean that the person that got 30 votes, which weren't many, should that person be automatically appointed to the board? Or should there be another policy in place where we would solicit applications or the board would make that decision? That's just kind of my observations. I don't know how the other board members feel about this, but I just wanted to throw that out for kind of a discussion if it's needed.
But the solution that is in place because of the 90 days is covered in state
Yes,
statute.
Yeah.
So really taken out of our hands, which is not a bad thing. And hopefully, not to say it'll never happen again, but if it doesn't, and I completely understand Brian's position and what he was doing and the reason for it, and I support him 100%. However, hopefully we'll cross that bridge when we come to it, but I don't like the idea of going to an election 2 years ago and picking up a person because that person may not even be willing to do it anymore.
Yeah.
So I like the idea of people kind of letting us know that they're interested in doing that if it comes down to it. If it's 4 months left before the election, I say we float it for 4 months and go from that point. But hopefully we don't really have that concern or issue.
Yeah.
I don't remember it happening before since I've been here, unless somebody can correct me.
Yeah, I think it happened one time, I don't even think the person ever actually served. They moved out,
Resigned prior.
yeah, prior to,
Okay.
and so, and the next I was supposed to get her was very close.
Yeah. So that kind of
So-
was obvious.
Right, and so I think it depends on the circumstances, obviously.
Yeah.
They're all gonna be.
So I don't think we need to make a decision of
No.
how it would work today. I think we just, I mean, somebody said, that you can do an interview process where,
Yeah.
you
As far
would
as
find somebody who was interested.
if it
who-
goes to appointment.
Yeah, if it
Yeah.
goes to appointment, which is where, if it's 2 years, you don't want to go 2 years
Right.
without a full board.
We don't want the
Right.
mayor having that kind of voting power.
Yeah.
No, and I don't want it.
But I think those kind of things could be decided
Yeah,
at the
I
time,
agree.
depending on the circumstances.
Yeah.
Rather than having a policy now that we're gonna
Yeah.
have to adhere to, which
Yeah.
may not
Just
be
food for thought,
well,
you know.
suited for whatever that situation seems to be.
Yeah, well, I was glad it went to more of an election process than a,
Right.
Well, I think our town code provides for a decision by the board, does it not?
No,
It's somewhere.
it pretty much follows state statute. You have to follow state statute, and there's not a policy in there that says how you do it. And it was very tricky. The policy or the statute goes into whether or not, if you're in a 4-year terms, if you're in the first 2 years, it's different than the last 2 years. And so it really goes in depth into the description of what you do. And of course, Nick helped advise us on that, but since it was more than 90 days, it definitely had to go on the next ballot.
So basically, if we're in a situation with, let's say, 22 months, 24, then it is the decision of the board of how to fill that position.
it's my understanding.
Or if it had
You'd
been
have to make,
within 90 days, then
Yeah.
the board would have had to appoint somebody.
for that.
For the
that-
remainder of his term,
Mayor.
The remainder of his
term,
terms, which
yes.
is 2
which
years.
is
That's right.
2 more years after
Yeah.
this one.
Yeah. Mhm. Okay. Any other comments? Okay, I appreciate y'all having this discussion. I thought it was time to just kind of review that. So very good. All right, our next item is, well, it started out, we had discussed the alcohol policy on the 4th of July, which was this, pardon the pun, a spirited debate, last meeting. But, I wanted us to go back and review that again. And now on item 10, amendments to the policy governing outdoor recreation uses and recreational rental permit application and agreement. Our town attorney weighed in and reviewed our policy, alcohol policy in the park, not just on the 4th of July, but am I not right, across the board? And Nick is here tonight to kind of brief us and inform us on what he thinks we should be doing legally and procedurally in any event with alcohol involved, correct, Nick?
Correct, yes. So I can be happy to go over that with you, and Josh could weigh in as well. Basically, after the discussion last time, what we looked at and Josh asked me to look into is a rental or event permit and application process to where these are not being done on an ad hoc basis, that it could come before the board, or before, if it doesn't need to come before the board because alcohol is not involved, it can come to the Parks and Recreation Director in order to make a decision. But that most importantly, we would have the protections in place through the permit that would protect the town in case something happens. And so that we could control situations where it's a big event and we will need security, additional security above what the town police can provide. And so Josh asked me to draft an event permit or rental permit, however you want to call it. What we ended up landing on is a rental permit and agreement. And we took what the Parks and Rec Department had already from that, and we basically just, beefed it up, bolstered it, and that's what you have before you. That rental permit application is filled out by the person hosting the event, and they have to agree to all those things, which I can summarize and go over for you. And then if alcohol is not involved at an outdoor park, then the Parks and Recreation Director can issue the rental permit with all the information provided, all the fees paid, security deposit, etc. And if alcohol is involved, for 4th of July, then it would come to the board, and there's additional waiver and release language that would apply that would also protect the town. And so once we drafted that and prepared that, we just needed to make some tweaks to the outdoor recreation policy to kind of conform with what this new plan is that's in place. So that's kind of a summary of it. Happy to give you a summary of what's in the rental permit and application if you'd like, or just let you ask any questions you have, whichever you.
I want to ask the question because I see two different types of alcohol situations. For example, the race last week, the Twilight 5K, the runners had on their bill a little ticket to where they could get a free beer. And I know that the people that were distributed had a alcohol license and so forth, and the runners would get their beer. At the concerts that the chamber sponsors, they're not selling any alcohol. It is just you can bring your own to the concert and consume the beverages within the, park site. Do you see any difference between those? And the other thing I would hope that we could do, for example, the chamber, if they got permission with one application, it would cover all of their concerts. They wouldn't have to be always doing that.
Every.
It's a
Saturday.
blanket, yeah.
Well, except
For-
I wouldn't do that for everything. because
Annually.
Yeah, but I think there's a huge difference between a Saturday evening music concert and the 4th of July.
Understood. I mean, I understand your position.
I mean, and frankly, I think part of it is the safety and security concerns. That was the concern of the police. They couldn't even get through the crowd. If there'd been a problem in the middle of the crowd, there was no way they could get to it. Maybe we just need to make the chamber, if that's their event, not a town event, which I assume it's their event, not a town event. I don't know.
I think it's a little combination of both, isn't it?
I know that's the
I'm
problem.
looking at Lester, sorry.
Oh,
I'm not
okay.
looking past you, I'm looking. It is the music in the park?
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
No, I know.
And fireworks.
4th of July, the music in the park on the 4th of July. is-
Right. So what I'm saying is if we anticipate that many people, then obviously we need more police security, things. And it actually provides for that in the thing that Nick gave us and has edited, at the discretion of the town board. And that's why I said you can't blanketly say every Saturday night, those come and go kind of concerts, and they're not 4th of July where everybody's in town and it is family oriented, as opposed to, I can choose to be here or not, where everybody wants to come see the fireworks.
Yeah, but one thing about it, I mean, we'd have to figure out the police aspect, the security aspect of 4th of July only requirements. Because to have, I mean, there were 2 there, correct? Chief and Officer McCall were there. And, but then every officer almost in Highlands was on duty somewhere in town, because there's that many people on Main Street, there's that many people on Carolina Way, there's that many people in Bryson's parking lot, there's people everywhere. So I understand the aspect of the park and it's town property, but I'm just wondering about the amount of security, and it's really during the fireworks. I mean, it's not all night. I mean, they came in, they were there an hour before the fireworks and they all filed out after the fireworks. It wasn't like an all day thing, but, I understand the concern about that. And this past 4th of July, I've never seen that many people in town, period. Forget about over at the park during the day with the kids, all that stuff. I understand what you're saying, but but it is very family oriented. It is in the park as well. I mean, there's kids everywhere, there's families everywhere, there's grandparents, there's parents, there's young kids, there's a lot of people. So it's still very family oriented. Yes, it was full. But even, I mean, when Chief came and talked to us, I think we're talking about 2 different things at the moment, because we're talking about a general policy, and then the 4th of July is one event out of 365. And this coming next year is going to be bigger. It's a Saturday. I mean, Tuesdays tend to be a little manageable.
No, but what I'm saying is you can't give them a blanket agreement for
No.
the year.
No, I think he was talking, I agree.
Well, that's
Yeah,
what you said.
I was just
Once
talking.
they do it once a year, then
No,
you get it. I think you have these special events that are much bigger than just the normal
100%
Saturday evening
I
concert.
agree with you.
Yeah.
But just.
I was just talking
those
about the music in the
routine
park.
Saturday concert things.
Oh, yeah, I have no
Okay.
problem, because they're all
I think that's
essentially the
what he's
same.
referring to.
But the 4th of July, I think I mean, and safety and security is in our policy.
Mhm.
It says if they are going to, alcohol's being served, we may need to actually run that down to if the event attracts more than a number of people, it's the safety and security, not necessarily partially from the alcohol, but also partially because if something happens in the middle of the thing and you can't get to them,
Mhm.
because of the actual number of people, you need strategically
Mhm.
placed more than 2 officers on the outside.
Okay. I've asked Officer McCall to come up because we had this conversation after the last meeting. And I'm not trying to put you on the spot,
Yes, sir.
Officer McCall, but
Yes, sir, you are.
But
given
this on?
the experience,
is.
yes, it is.
Now it is.
Given the experience of the crowds the past 4th of July, in planning for the next 4th of July, do you think the chief will want to have even a larger police presence at that event?
Absolutely.
Mhm. You had how many?
Yep.
2?
We had 2, but other officers were all over around,
Okay.
within the city limits. So our thought is, as soon as some of those showed up for work, we would have them placed strategically around Kelsey Hutchison Park.
Okay.
So that's also leaving,
The rest of
maybe
the-
2 floaters, because everybody else is going to be around the park.
Because our policy actually talks about private security, which is not the police.
Correct.
Mhm.
And they're kind of,
Because it's hard
Useless.
to find people who are, but it's hard to find,
they're not
Uh,
armed. If something were to happen, they're not armed.
But
well, it's not that we won't have police. I'm just talking about the fact that I assume a lot of police would like to have 4th of July's with their family, and we may not be able to get the number that we need.
Yeah, I've never had 4th of July with my family, so.
Some
Sorry.
people do.
Yeah,
Well,
Nature of the business.
yeah.
But let me ask a question, and let's go back to music in the park. There's 2 officers, typically, correct?
Are you talking about just
The
regular
Saturday
Saturdays?
night music.
One,
Okay. But that one's an off-duty.
correct,
That's paid by the chamber.
correct.
On 4th of July, when you 2 were on, you were on duty.
No, we were also being paid by the
Right,
chamber.
okay. So what we're saying is that, if we have 1 for Saturday nights and 2 for 4th of July, whether it needs, and I would fall to you all to say what the recommendation would be, if it's 3 or 4, whatever it is. As far as, but I do agree that off-duty police officers, it's twofold. 1, it's good to have them in town. 2, that it's not a bad way to make a little extra money, for everybody involved. So I didn't know for sure what the policy was on a Saturday night. And oftentimes I see 2, but 1 kind of stays on the edge near a vehicle and I assume they're on duty, but they stop by every once in a while.
That's pretty
They
much
don't
it. So
stay.
there is one that's being paid by the chamber, and then the ones that are on duty may stop in and visit for a minute or.
Yeah, but
or walk
they're
through.
just patrolling.
Yes,
Yeah, okay. But there were 2 off duty on 4th of July
correct.
by definition.
Yes.
Okay.
well, I was assuming that the chief being one of them was because you couldn't get anybody else to come.
Well, basically, we decided a couple of years ago that the 2 of us would be the ones to be there because of the amount of people that were drinking and it's not allowed. And we didn't want rookies there who may not know exactly what's allowed with regard to drinking on town property and things like that. Because we walked through and we weren't sniffing people's red Solo cups or making people open their
Coolers.
coolers or
Yeah.
Yetis or whatever. But obvious, the beer bottles, the wine bottles, we would approach them. You can't have that, pour it out and go throw it away, that sort of thing. And that's where we had the issue.
I had this discussion with the chief and Officer McCall after the meeting. And I was saying, if you're having to actively enforce no drinking in a situation like that, there's a good possibility somebody might tell them, I'm not doing it, and throw it in your face or throw it on you. And then we have an incident.
Correct.
Now, we might have an incident with people just drinking, but in a way, we create friction when we're trying to tell people you
Not to.
you got to pour it out.
Well, but you could alleviate that by having big signs at the entrance to the park saying alcohol's not allowed in the park. I mean, just because it was a misunderstanding in a certain aspects of it is because they had it on Saturday night, so they assumed they could have it then. But this is a family event with lots of people, with lots of kids, with too much potential for problems. To me, anyway, I wouldn't want, to go to a family event where I'm worried about drunks. So if you advertise and have signs where they enter into the park saying the alcohol's not allowed, pour it out right here, that could work,
We've done that for 2 years.
and it doesn't work.
No, ma'am.
Well, there's also-
Better having a sign saying no public drunkenness.
Well, but that's
Nobody thinks
actually
they're
an
drunk
ordinance,
when they're-
so-
Yeah.
Well,
That's a law.
but then the onus is on them
But that's a law.
to,
I mean, that is anyway.
yeah, but we're reminding them
Yeah,
that,
but you
you know,
gotta
when you
think-
start stumbling, you're in trouble.
But if you put it down on your signs on either end of the road, there's 10 ways to walk into that park.
Sure.
Yeah, well, okay, but what I'm saying is the mayor's scenario is they're mad at you and they throw up their face. That's because they're drunk.
No, sometimes they're
That's
just,
because they're alcohol, supported or
well,
whatever. They
quite
wouldn't do that
possibly,
in a normal situation.
quite
You know,
possibly they're jerks. I mean, you don't have to be drunk to be a jerk necessarily. Some people are nicer when they are, but my point is, I go to the music in the park a lot. And I have to admit, and I know the mayor mentioned the same thing, I take a cooler, I'll have either a beer or a drink, whatever it might be. There's others at this table that they can speak up for themselves, but I know they have drinks when they go to the park. On 4th of July, I've been to the park, and to be honest with you, in the beginning, years ago, I took drinks to the park because I honestly didn't even know that that was the case. It changed for 4th of July only. Every other event where there's music, you can have it. And I've never witnessed a drunk person. I mean, there was a problem once at the park, but that person had mental issues. He was not drunk. He was not anything. He just had some problems.
Yeah.
And the police dealt with him. But it was not, I've never witnessed a drunk person on 4th of July or the Saturday night. And I know in the beginning when I got approved 8, 10, whatever many years ago it was when they started the music, that was a big concern. And it hasn't been. It's not produced anything. I don't think an arrest has ever come out, or even a citation has come out of music in the park for alcohol. Now, don't get me wrong, it is a little different when there's that many people, and I do think additional officers make perfect sense, but it is not, if there's 1,500 people, there's not 1,500 drunk people. There's people that have had drinks and they came for the fireworks and they're having a nice glass of wine or they're having a beer or whatever. But I have never witnessed, and I don't know how many, I'm not putting anybody on the spot, but I don't know how many music nights you all have been to at the park. But again, I've been there at least 50 to 60% of them over the past 8 to whatever years since they've been doing them. I know I see Eric there a lot. I see the mayor there at times. So I'm just mentioning it, that I don't know, I still think it's a solution in search of a problem, that has never proven itself to be a problem.
Until it is.
Well, I understand that, but
I mean,
that's, you can't regulate idiocy either. So, I mean, I'm sorry, that's just reality. I mean, I know
yeah,
people
but
in this town that are
sometimes
jerks.
people are idiots because they've had a drink.
Yeah, well,
I mean, I'm sure the police know that they're much more likely to have a problem with somebody that they stop who's been drinking than one that has not been drinking. It's just because you get that false sense of bravery or obstinacy or whatever from alcohol.
yeah, well,
It seems to me, though,
I become more agreeable, so it's, I'm the wrong person.
on the 4th of July, well, number one, on the 4th of July, there's a greater propensity for this to happen because the time frame is quite a bit longer. When I drove by on the 4th of July at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, the place was slammed. And I made the decision right then, I'm not coming to the park tonight.
Mhm.
I'll sit at home, climb up on the roof or something. So, the hours are longer. There's a lot more people to be there. But if it's a situation where it's essentially unenforceable, because you've got people with different containers, so to speak, why are we trying to enforce something that's unenforceable?
Well, and if you remember at the last meeting when Chief came here, she mentioned, she actually recommended approving it to be allowed on 4th of July. Partially because the police want to be able to patrol and do what they're supposed to do, which is watch for problems rather than walking around constantly and just seeing somebody with a bottle or a glass of wine. I mean, I'm just.
Maybe this is a bad analogy, but I mean, speed limits. Okay, you enforce them over a certain number, but everybody speeds. But if you have an accident and then speed becomes part of the problem. So if you become part of the problem, then being drunk or having had alcohol has contributed to that. And if you have a no alcohol policy, you don't necessarily have to say, okay, you can never go 5 miles over the speed limit or I'm going to cite you. Or you can say, okay, there's no drinking. If you're drinking and not causing a problem, I'm not walking around being the police to cite you. But if there's a problem, then that alcohol becomes a mitigating factor or an inciting factor. I don't know. But what I'm saying is I would like to discourage alcohol in the park on 4th of July because it is a different event than the Saturday night ones where everybody comes and sits on the lawn and does this, that, and the other, and they come and go and that kind of thing. They're there with their family and their grandkids and everybody else, trying not to get run over or knocked over and all the rest of that stuff, so they can see the fireworks. That's the big deal.
But that's where the public drunkenness comes into play. If they run into a situation, then they immediately inflict pain.
So you're saying that they don't have, well, I'm saying that they don't have to enforce, but what I'm
It's
saying.
not enforceable until it becomes a problem. And then once it becomes a problem, they have a solution.
But I think the chief's thought is, and I agree, we don't want to get into the problem of, well, it's not allowed, but we're just going to overlook it right now. Because then now we've got the rest of the people saying, look, they're just standing there and they won't do anything. Because it's not allowed and now they're allowing it. So that's why we wanted a decision.
Well, yeah, I saw the problem when we decided this years ago that, I felt then that everybody thinks that they're going to be able to on the 4th of July, and I thought it'd be a problem not allowing it. And like I said, I've been there multiple times and I haven't seen any issues. And there's families there at Saturday nights and everything. I know it's a bigger event, but I think allowing it on 4th of July is just the common thing, and let the police act on what needs to be dealt with at the time. So.
So are we
So-
trying to have any action on anything other than?
I think we need to,
Well, the
Take action.
edits that Nick.
Yeah, there's those, and then, I mean,
and then we need to get back to Nick's.
Yeah, and I do not recommend that you make any action right now with respect to the 4th of July, because what's gonna happen if you all adopt this rental permit application process is the chamber hosts that, correct?
Uh-huh,
Yes.
yes.
They'll fill out that application and that will come to you all to make a decision after you see everything in the application and everything. So I think at that point, I would recommend that you make a decision on their application and issue them the permit.
Okay.
Mhm.
So what we need to review tonight is what you're presenting to us about the application and then the procedural issues about submitting the application and when and who does it.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Yes, thank you, Captain. Appreciate it.
Then I had one comment on what Nick has given us, and that's under the safety and security thing. And it says the renter agrees to contract directly with private security company if alcohol is being served at the event. I think that needs to be not just because of alcohol. I think it needs to be because of, and that's at the discretion of the town. If it's because of a very populated event, the mass numbers, I think that it's a good idea to have more security there to deal with problems, because that many people, it's just common sense that you have more potential for somebody to fall over or get tripped or, any of those kinds of things that need to be dealt with by somebody in authority or somebody whose job it is to deal with those things. So I think it's not just if the alcohol is being served at the event. I don't know what the verbiage is to say, or special circumstances or whatever, because, and they were basically being stacked up at 5 o'clock. I mean, the people there.
Yeah.
There were lots of people there.
Yeah. Well, what would be the problem with having on this application, at the time of, approving it, a spot to put in the number of,
Anticipated.
no, the spot for the number of law enforcement
Well, it says on here,
To be on
describe,
site.
describe the arrangements, you'll make for providing proper security. So I think, and Nick, the way you've written this, it has to come to the board for that event. So like for 4th of July, and then if they say, well, we're gonna have 2, then you guys could say, no, we
need
want 4.
Yeah, so that's correct. It has to go to the board if alcohol is being served. It does not go to the board if alcohol is not being served. So, I can strike from that sentence the words if alcohol is being served and just say at the discretion of the town, the renter will provide or directly contract with a private security company. But, I think what I heard from the last meeting was that this was more focus of when alcohol is being served, but
Have we ever required security when there's not alcohol?
No.
For any other event? I mean, I don't see why we would, but I mean, when there's a craft fair there, we don't require them to have security.
No.
I think part of it is the condensed time frame, like Buzz was saying,
Right.
they're all there, and then as soon as
Right.
it's over, everybody's trying to get home, trying to get out, trying to get, so you're jockeying for position, you're jockeying
Yeah,
for
no, I
a
understand.
seat, you're jockeying
Understand.
for, and then when you're out, it's a mad race to
Right.
find your car.
What about this? I mean, are we requiring it for the craft show that
Yeah.
has alcohol sale
They had, the
They did
police
have-
chief was there.
Yeah.
and officer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I was asking just to make
During
sure.
that
Yeah.
period. of time.
Consistency.
Consistency, right?
Yeah. Yeah, but I think it should be up to the discretion of us to say, like for 4th of July, we think you need 4.
Well, I think
Assuming
there- I
that
think
gets,
there ought to be a
or 3 or whatever it might be.
sentence in here or a checkbox in here saying X number of law enforcement will be required.
Well, I think that's what he put
Which
in
will-
here.
I think it gives us discretion though, to do that.
It says describe the arrangements, because we get to decide individually on those events. So describe the arrangements you will be making for providing proper security. So if they come back and say 4th of July, you're gonna have one person at one end, then
And then
obviously
we can.
we'll
say what
approve
we
it
want,
contingent
move
on
it as a
3 or
board. If
4,
they don't
whatever our
agree
police
with it,
department
they don't
recommends.
get the permit.
And you think that's gonna, into the future, that's gonna trip the brain of everybody sitting on this board that, oh, we need to make sure we've got X number of,
I think it's inherent on them to
I-
understand what's going on.
I have a feeling it's not gonna get forgotten.
Yeah.
During the
Well, not as long
approval
as Amy's
process. She's running again, so we got at least 4 more years of it.
And what I think the police, will have the experience to be able to say,
Uh-huh.
we can't do it with 2 people.
Yeah, I think. we
And
have-
floaters who are out
Yeah.
trying to direct traffic and the people in the Bryson's parking lot, and the people at the rec park, and the people at the ball field, and the people at Sunset, and wherever else they go to see the fireworks.
so should this have a sign off spot for the police chief? On events that have alcohol?
Well, I think we should ask the chief at all
think she'll be
occasions how many
here
are
to
how
go
many
over.
they
Common sense
recommend.
would tell us that we don't know, the
Well, I
chief is
don't
gonna know,
Yeah.
Yeah, I have no idea. I mean,
Yeah.
right?
certainly Officer McCall would know 10 times over any of us, so.
Well, I just think that.
I don't think we would not have them involved.
No, but it just forces another set of eyes on the situation if they've got to sign off on it.
I could add, at the very last page is where you have for, in the park, alcohol, street closures, additional security, everything. So right now, the renter signs, the Parks and Rec director signs, and checks whether the board has approved or disapproved. We can have the police chief have a signature line for those specific cases, if that's,
Oh, I see what you're saying, yeah.
Yeah.
The signature,
I think that'd
yeah,
be good.
I
yeah.
think
Excellent.
I would agree.
that's the easiest way to do it,
Yeah.
so it never gets lost.
Exactly.
Chief should review any of them anyway,
Yeah.
any of those
Yeah, I
applications.
agree.
Just have her signature as a requirement for her review.
Yep.
Okay.
That's the question, though, you keep, saying served, alcohol served. The chamber's gonna say to you, we're not serving.
Or allowed.
Well, I mean, word served knows that. the change
Right.
or the person that's-
Right, but there's two things,
But
there's two
Nick
things
already
that
said
can
he
be
was
either
gonna
served or allowed.
take
They
out
have to
that
do
part
that on the
about-
application,
yeah.
so, yeah. So,
The served part of it, because you're right. You walk in from one of the bars, you're not being served in the bar by the chamber.
right. Cause I think like the first part of the running, they
Yeah.
do it like they served.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
Nick, I think that should be not necessarily delineation, but an addition, whether it's served or
Allowed.
allowed,
It's
just
in there.
allowed in
It's in there.
general.
Under number 3, it's in there.
It's in there.
Yeah, it's in there.
Says will
Oh, it's
serve
the,
or
no,
allowed.
it's the next line item. Got it, got it, got it.
Okay.
I did miss
Yeah.
that one.
Okay.
Okay.
Should we have Nick go back and make these changes and then bring it back to us?
Can I just get some clarification? I heard Amy say about striking alcohol. Is that what I need to be doing or?
No, striking, the alcohol has to be served at the park.
Right, in order for the private security. So you want to strike that so that it'll just say they agree to provide security in the discretion of the town, regardless of whether or not alcohol is being served?
Exactly, because if you have, 10,000 people, it's much different than 5,000 people, regardless of whether there's alcohol involved or not. Right?
Okay, I'm happy to do that. I just wanted to make sure that was
Yeah.
the will of the board.
I mean, I don't think there are 10,000, but there are 1,000.
Okay, so we'll just have Nick make those revisions and then we'll review it another,
Next
one more
meeting.
time at the next meeting.
Yeah.
Okay?
'Cause
Sounds
we're
good.
almost-
Mr. Mayor, I mean, those are very straight. I mean, it's just adding a signature line and it's striking the words alcohol from that sec. So you can make a motion and approve it subject to those two revisions. Right now,
Okay.
you just have to come back to you.
Signature too.
Yeah, he had that.
You got it? Okay.
Yeah, those are the two, adding the police chief signature and removing alcohol from the security provision.
I will entertain then a motion to approve this with the suggested changes that our attorney will make.
So
So
moved.
moved.
As
Okay,
amended.
all right, as amended. Okay. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please signify by raising your hand, saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you, Nick.
Okay.
All right. Another related issue will be item 11, the Mountaintop Rotary request, and that's Andy Walker.
Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry, I thought you were gonna move on to the outdoor recreation policy
Oh,
revisions.
I'm sorry.
We need to adopt those.
We did the application.
Okay, I'm sorry. Thank you.
Sorry.
Sorry, we're about to get there. So the recreation policy. What's the pleasure of the board on that?
Yeah, and I could just say real quick that all those changes are to align it with what the rental permit is you just approved. And then I made some cleanup changes, but really nothing substantive other than just making sure all the verbiage lines up and everything's clear and straightforward.
I think we just changed it to.
So I make a motion that we approve the policies governing outdoor recreation.
Okay,
Second.
you got a second? Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please raise your hand, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, thank you, Nick. Appreciate it. All right, now, number 11, the Mountaintop Rotary request, Andy Walker.
Thank you, Mayor.
Uh-huh.
Do I need to sit or can I stand?
Oh, you
They-
can
need
stand or sit.
microphones.
Yeah.
People have microphones so people can hear it on TV.
I'm Andy Walker. I'm the president of the Highlands Mountaintop Rotary Club. You, ladies and gentlemen, have given us permission to have an event inside the arts show in both June last time and this coming weekend. And that is a thing called Sip and Stroll, where we serve wine and beer in the afternoon from 3 to 6 to people, encouraging them to sip the wine and stroll through the vendors and spend money. The proceeds from that particular event are used to fund charities on the plateau. It was successful in June. About $1,700 was raised. We keep in close contact with the chief, who told us everything went just fine. We are asking to extend the hours from, instead of 3 to 6 to, from 1 to 6. Here's why. There are two groups of people that come through the arts show. We studied this. There are those that come late morning, stay through lunch, leave early afternoon. Then there are those that come mid-afternoon and stay till the end of the arts fair, 5 or 6. They go to town and eat dinner. Most folks are parked somewhere away from the event. We capture the latter group, but we don't capture the first group. And there's an opportunity to be able to raise additional monies for charity by capturing that first group. That's what we want to do. It's that kind of simple. We'd like to extend the hours for 1 to 6 as opposed to 3 to 6. Questions?
Full disclosure, I participate in the art show. I don't know if it's a conflict, but I'll let you know.
The wine part of it?
I'll take the fifth on that.
So I think there was a number, a 2 or something, and they get a ticket for 2 drinks or something like that. Is
No,
that-
ma'am, 1. Yeah, we sold tickets for $10 for the cheaper wine and $15 for the more expensive wine, both provided to us by Guy Davis of Davis Family Vineyards. This year, we're just selling one. This August, we're just selling 1 ticket for 15. Pick a choice. There is no cheap wine. So it's just simple accounting for us. And
who,
Guy wants it that way because he doesn't want his winemaking wine, Hunter and Rye, to appear to be a lesser wine to his Guy Family Davis Vineyard wines.
and who's operating with the LE license when you are doing that?
I apologize. Say that again, sir.
Who holds the license, the alcohol license?
I think Jim Spencer does as a human being, but the Mountaintop
Okay.
Rotary is as a club.
Okay, he has that
Yes, sir.
license. Okay.
But wouldn't it,
That's gonna be my question. On the permit, there should be a time frame. So I wonder if the permit already has the 1 to 3
I do not know.
or 1 to 6.
I do not know. I did not know that.
Usually you have to fill those out well enough.
Yes.
one thing I was going to point out, at least my understanding, and I know Chief had chimed in before, you actually had a purveyor providing the beer that holds a beer and wine license off premise, serving. So
Her name's Amber. She runs
from the
Western
brewery
Carolina
on
Brewery.
Carolina Way. So I believe you kind of double covered yourself.
Yeah, we,
In that fact that Amber and her business actually hold the license for off premise like Ugly Dog does, to where they did the 5K, and I think Amber does it as well. So I think they were actually double covered, and even Chief said, well, it doesn't matter because you don't have to do that because
yeah, I talked to Amber.
so it might be covered, assuming it is, that'd be okay. But because the permit, you'd have to be what? It's at least, I don't think it's 30 days, but it's at least 14
Before.
in advance to get the ABC permit, and you're within that window now. So,
Oh, yeah, it starts.
So
We
if-
set up tomorrow and start Saturday.
right. So my point is, if we do approve it, it's going to have to be contingent on that.
That's fair
That's a
enough.
very good point. Thank you.
We'll find out exactly what it says or what we're allowed to do. And if it doesn't meet your contingency, then we won't do it.
Right. Well, it's either
It's either there or it isn't.
either permit or Western Carolina Brewing and Wine.
I think we'll probably meet Western Carolinas. I think she has a off-site premise. I'm not sure it has time.
She does.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I make a motion to approve pending confirmation by our police chief and or Officer McCall of your serving for your license.
Okay.
Or the server license.
Second.
Second, any further discussion?
We're approving
The time frame only.
despite what's on the application or based on what's on the application?
Application for what? For the ABC permit?
Yes.
Well, If
There's
the-
the time frame on it.
But
There are
they're
two.
double covered. One of them has to be covered or they're not serving from 1 to 3. Either Western Carolina Brewing has to cover it and legally cover it, which I believe isn't,
But if there's a time frame on the application,
But the
are
applicant,
are we waiving that time frame
No.
since it's
well,
double
we don't have
covered?
any
since,
say in
since,
that.
since Western Carolina, the brewing people
What's that?
have a permit,
But-
they aren't limited to that time frame.
Exactly.
But-
So that's what I'm
But my
saying.
point is the,
They may not have a time frame on their permit.
But
We may have a
we
time
approve
frame on ours.
this,
Exactly.
But
That's
when
what
we
I'm saying.
approve this, they have to comply with the time frame.
Right, no matter who's serving the alcohol, the time frame remains the time frame on
yeah.
the Rotary's permit.
No,
So we're waiving that.
no, we're
Well,
not.
we don't have the ability to waive that. What I'm saying is, Officer McCall, is it true that Chief is actually ALE certified? Isn't she like the ALE?
She is.
Okay, so she would be as long as she approves the 1 to 3, I feel comfortable
That's a good way to do it.
to Chief, since she knows the laws when it comes to both, either whether it be Western Carolina or it be them, and if she says you have to have both, then you're going 3 to 5 or 3 to 6. I mean, that was the contingency. It has to get, but we can make it contingent on the chief, who is I guess, is it the only one right now? I guess
Alcohol
another one's
license
almost
at
there.
That timeframe.
ALE certified or whatever they call it. You have 2 of them now. Yeah, but I would defer to chief in this case. She's been in that position for many, many years. So I think if the chief says it's legal, then I make the motion to approve it pending her approval.
Okay,
We would promise that.
motion,
That's my motion.
okay. And did
Yeah,
you second
yeah.
that? Okay. Does that meet your
Yeah.
satisfaction? Okay, let me call the question. All in favor, please raise your hand, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank
Appreciate
you
it.
very much.
Yes, sir.
Have a
Thank you.
great day.
Mhm. Okay, the next item, number 12, Chamber of Commerce audit. And let me start this. Our friends at the chamber are not here tonight, but they did give us, documentation. They sent us a 990 form that they are required to fill out and post every year. And then they also did an audit and, shared with us. I know you've had a chance to look at this information. I just want to say, first of all, I appreciate them sharing that information with us. And from here on out, I would request that anything they send to the county documenting their financial status, just as a matter of courtesy and keeping us informed, that we receive, that same information, although they are, of course, under the purview of the County Board of Commissioners. So I appreciate that. I will say, and I've made this statement and I will make it again, that under the old 1985 law, I think that some of the things that they are doing doesn't fall within the authorization of that law. I don't see that as a problem in that we could work with the commissioners of the county to ask that old statute be updated to include such things as tourist-related expenditures. That kind of opens up thing, and the issue that our county attorney was saying, you cannot spend money on cleaning bathrooms because your legislation does not authorize that. With that tourist-related expenditure change or certain changes, updates, that wouldn't be an issue. And a lot of other things that could be spent with TDA money and things that they're already doing would fall within that new updated requirement. So that's, my opinion. And I know that some people on the board might not agree, others might, but I think it's time to kind of have a new age of with the TDA funding and so forth, a period of openness and transparency. And I think this is a very good step with the sharing of the 990 forms, which I know is public, and then the audit that was just recently done. So I will now defer to the board for any questions, comments concerning the package that you received from the chamber.
The only thing I was going to mention is anybody else in the community that wants to see it. It's my understanding it is also on their website where anybody can go on their website and hit the toggle and look at the audit and the expense reports or
Well,
their financials. So.
that's good.
Yeah.
It hasn't been always the case,
No,
but
yeah, but we
Good
have a new director who's
Yeah.
making a conscious effort to get with everybody and
So
yeah,
And-
is their expense report what we got? $1.4 million, budget, it's in half a page?
there's
No.
two different, no,
There was
there's two
more.
different.
There's more on the website?
Yeah.
No, well, there's more that that give you
on the
sent us to.
990.
Oh, but the 990, that's public. You can look at that, anything. And again, that's all categorized in, 4 or 5 categories as opposed to what they actually spend where. That's what audits do too. Audits just, or CPAs that tell you you did your accounting correctly. It doesn't actually tell you what you spent it and if it was a legitimate thing to spend on. Because they don't know that kind of stuff.
Right.
They just know that you've done the accounting right.
Well, and what I will tell you is, I did talk to, the new director when she told me about the fact that it was on the website. And the only thing I will say is that, she said, if anybody has any questions, email her or call her directly and she will provide additional information if you want it. And if you want kind of, it's kind of like a balance sheet versus a true full financial, which is 1 page versus, I mean, even in my office, it's 1 page versus 20.
Well,
It's
a profit and loss budget for our $1.4 million
Right.
thing, which takes up half a page.
Understand, but my point is, if you want more information in addition to that, they will provide it. They will give it to you. So they're not trying to hide anything. They're actually trying to be very transparent. Joanna is, Director Fine is, I know she probably reached out to everybody to try and speak with them, et cetera. So,
She good?
she's trying to improve everything she has limited control over. So, and if the communication is one of them, then email her and request it. I'm just saying, she encouraged that.
Well, my question was, you said it was on the website. And
Yes.
I wondered if an expanded, because you could go to QuickBooks and just hit that and expand everything underneath what's called visitor services
Right.
for $105,000. And I have no idea what that means.
Right. Understand that. I'm
Yeah,
sure if
there's a lot of columns in there that add up to that.
yeah, there's a lot of individual charges and amounts. Obviously, she will provide whatever you're requesting within the document. So open book.
Any other comments?
Mr. Mayor, I would say, to your point about the legislation, if that's something that you feel we need to discuss or to act on, I'd be so bold as to say sooner rather than later.
Well, we could set up, as we go into the fall, a workshop about how we would, approach the county and stakeholders and see if we couldn't get our legislative delegation to do that. I know that with the legislative schedule, those kind of local bills are due by, I believe, April of 2026 on their short session. So those kind of requests would have to be in the hands of our legislative delegation.
And I think there are a lot of ways that counties do it. So I think it's worth having a workshop to figure out how we would want it to
Sure.
be done and then approach the county after we've had a discussion of what we think would be best. Because there are a lot of both distributions and decision makers of where the money, who makes the decision of how the money is spent, those kind of things. And every county does it a little bit differently. So I think it's something that rather than just say, county, let's go do this. At this stage anyway, the occupancy tax in Macon County is 3%. And then almost every other county who has one in this state, it's 6%. A couple of them are 5%, but most of them are 6%. So that's another option. to be able to pay for some of the services that are being impacted by the increased volume of just people in the county. Whether it's EMS, police, recreation, sidewalks, solid waste disposal, all those kinds of things. There's things that are at least worth a discussion as to how we would approach it so that the county doesn't just have to do it
Tell us
on
how
their
we
own.
can- Yeah.
Okay. I'll get with, our staff and people, if everybody agrees, and we'll set up a workshop where we can look at these issues, as a community and in depth. If that's okay with everyone, we'll move on. The next item is a chamber request Heritage Day event update. Lester, would you give us a briefing on that?
Tina or Joanna couldn't be here tonight, so they asked if I would do this. We approved for them to do the Highlands Heritage Jamboree on September the 27th. They had been working, trying to get a military band. They got word last week that the U.S. Navy band will actually be coming to Highlands to perform for that. But to make that happen, they had a few requests. One, they're supposed to start at 3. They're asking if they can start at 1 on Saturday.
At the park.
At the park, yes, I'm sorry.
I
Yeah.
didn't want a parade.
Yeah, so they could, no, they could start at 1 instead of 3. Also asked if they could reserve 2 parking places on 5th Street next to the public restrooms so the band could get in and unload their equipment and not interfere with the farmer's market.
The parallel?
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. And then also asked if, much like we do for the Twilight 5K, if they could block Pine Street on Friday night to keep people out of there all day. So they could set up, they'll open the gates, let the vendors in for the farmer's market. They unload, go outside, park, and then once it's over, they'll come in and load their stuff back up and get out. And then also, the last thing was to relocate the Cloggers dance floor up to the plaza instead of on the Pine Street pavers where it normally is.
Splatter.
Well,
Set up there.
it just gives room for another vendor with the Heritage Day event down there.
Okay.
And they have talked with Sissy and they've hired 2 officers all day long to help to make sure there's no complications if anybody gets upset with it.
Okay. I hate to bring this up. I don't want to get into the, are they going to be serving alcohol anytime soon? No?
I don't think they do on
No,
Heritage Day.
okay.
Well, that's one
part
of
of
their
the
vendors. Yes.
heritage.
Okay. Is that,
Yeah,
Cover
and they have
everything?
talked to Don Deal and I also talked to him and he said by that time the farmer's market's sort of slowing down anyway, so they would close at 12 so they could get out and give plenty of time to set up on that.
when do they think, will the Navy band play at about 3?
No, the Navy band, from what I understand, is playing at 1 because they had the events lined up because
Okay.
they couldn't get a confirmation from the Navy band. Then they got a confirmation that the Navy band would be there.
Okay.
So my understanding is that they'll start at 1.
But they offloaded the night before.
No, that's what they want the
2
2
parking spaces.
parking
for-
space on 5th. So while the
Around
farmer's
12.
market's going
So
on, when they
while
get
the
into
farmer's
town,
market, they're gonna be,
if they
okay.
can park on 5th Street, they won't interfere with the farmer's market. They'll go in that alley behind the public restrooms and set up on stage to get ready for the event.
So the Friday night is just to keep people out of there.
Yes,
Kind of like what we do.
because they've
there.
got to set up their vendors too, because their vendors will be setting up on the end where the farmer's market's not, while the farmer's market's going on as well.
And of course, the police chief's been consulted, the farmer's market folks have been all part of this, et cetera. And it's exciting to get,
Yeah,
The
that's a
US
pretty
Navy
big
band
deal
here,
to get
it's-
a US Navy band.
that's fantastic.
So we've already, the only thing we have to approve now is the 2 parking spaces
Yeah,
and closing
starting
the
at
park
1.
at 5.
Right.
Starting at.
And then
And-
allow them to use the,
Clogging stage.
yeah,
The
put the
plaza.
stage up at the plaza.
And starting at 1. So, 4 items.
Okay.
Okay.
So it wasn't 3.
Oh, was it
Yeah.
3?
that thing. It's not a big ass.
I don't have any problem.
Mm.
I move we approve the request from the Chamber for the Heritage Day.
Second.
Okay, second. All in favor, please raise your hand, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you, appreciate it. All right, our last thing is adjournment. Do I have a,
Nope. We
oh,
added-
I'm sorry.
Yep.
Survey.
The survey, yeah, I'm ready to get out of here. Okay, we have on that idea or the request to have a survey and a topological mapping of the playhouse.
So I
Right.
make a motion to approve Josh Ward given the authority to negotiate and get a topo of the town hall property with a 2-foot contour and all major trees over 12 inches.
Okay,
And I'm informed it can be done within the budget without a budget amendment.
So this
And
is,
you're-
this is the whole
whole-
property,
The whole
not just
block.
the two
whole
lots.
block.
The whole block.
Yeah.
probably
Which we
well
don't-
overdue.
Yeah.
What-
We don't even have a survey that's,
Well, I know, and if we're gonna do it, we might as well do the whole block.
yeah. Yeah, it was a
Yeah.
Kelsey map is the last survey that we
Yeah.
have. So,
Which when they were using chain and.
yeah, so that's my motion.
I'll
Okay,
second that.
and you got a second?
So
Any further discussion?
the only comment, thought that I had is as long as the playhouse is there, we're not going to get an accurate topo.
No, but we'll get the perimeter of the topo and the position of it, so it'll be, I mean, there's a little bit of a
It's a
basement
hole.
dug into it.
There's a basement underneath there, a crawl
Yeah.
space,
Crawl space, yeah.
Yeah.
Been in
but
there.
it's just a hole. There's
Yeah.
no bottom to it.
Right, yeah, no, I know that, but as far as
Yeah,
on 2-foot
But, yeah, intervals.
yeah, 2-foot
intervals,
contours,
we're
but we'll
gonna
know
miss
the,
something.
we'll know the perimeter and,
Yeah.
I mean,
And that
it's,
could be updated.
it's not a
if-
major change to what's underneath versus other than under the stage.
What, in the demolition thing, were we filling in that hole?
Yeah.
But,
Okay.
well, either that or you're lowering what's around it, but that's to be determined. We'll know better with topo,
Okay.
so.
Okay, let me call the question. All in favor, please raise your hand, signify by saying aye. Thank
Aye.
you. Now, we are at the last item, and that would be adjournment. Do I have a motion that
So
we adjourn?
moved.
All in
So
favor? We're adjourned. Thank y'all. Thank you.
Good night.